Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 1st, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery, and you can see the next frontal system moving across the Gulf of Alaska, headed towards the Pacific Northwest. Clouds already riding into British Columbia as we speak. You can also see the upper level low here down across Nevada, Idaho, some lightning associated with that. Wraparound moisture coming back across places like Boise, western Montana, and some extreme southeast Oregon. Get some cloud cover from this as well. We'll take a look at this frontal system, then we'll take a look at the ridge it's going to build in the wake of that system here as well. And then the extended forecast looks like the Gulf of Alaska might start getting active again and pointing storms at the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at those details as well. If you want to save 10% off and record all this crazy weather we get here across the Pacific Northwest, click on that link down below. Stores all the data for you in the cloud. Highly recommend this fun weather station. Looking at SeaTac, we ended September at 3.44 inches of rain, over double what we normally get. But I explained that a little bit in the drought monitor, that you can't just throw a bunch of precipitation in a quick amount of time and just kind of erase drought. So expect there to still be some drought here across Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that over the next few days as well. And the risk of sneaker waves still exists for some of the Oregon coastline there as well. They left us up here. So watch out for that. Stay off the rocks and jetties, or at least pay attention if you're doing so. Cool and wet start to October. This is all the way through north central Idaho and western Montana through October 4th here. You can see there's some snow for the higher elevations here, and some of this wraparound moisture keeping things cool. And then this next frontal system rolling through here. You can see the raw backcountry conditions here. Nice graphic from Missoula National Weather Service. This is the composite reflectivity and what it may look like here as we go over the next few days. You can see the upper level low spinning some precipitation, some thunderstorm potential across Idaho, and some snow for the higher terrain. There goes our next frontal system driving down across the Pacific Northwest. Not exceptionally wet, but it should bring some measurable precip, especially west of the Cascades, maybe a little bit east of the Cascades also, especially the higher terrain. Then you can see kind of this convergence zone existing on in through Monday into late Monday night here before it starts to dissipate on Tuesday morning. I'll play this back quickly a couple times, and you can kind of see that front moves through, and then convergence zone signature there across some of the central sound off into the foothills and the Cascades as well. Now, looking at the ridge and trough position there at 18,000 feet, you can see the upper level low over us now. Here goes this frontal system kind of moving through BC, and then we quickly build this ridge across the area, and it looks like we're going to warm up for some areas. That's assuming we don't get much fog for some of the valley areas, but we're going to bring this ridge across the region here, and then you can see some of the Gulf of Alaska starts to get active here as we go through about 144 hours. You can see that kind of developing out there, and some of the models do show some systems starting to move in at that time frame, so we'll look at that here in a moment as well. This is 10,000 feet, kind of nice visual representation of what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can see that upper level low kind of get cut off here, and this next system swings through BC and kind of picks that up and starts to kick it off to the east. And you can see the ridge building there. Look at the warmer temperatures aloft coming across the region, then maybe some more cold air spilling out across the Gulf through the extended forecast. This is the GFS. This is hot off the presses. In fact, let me update this so we have the most recent information on this run. You can see the upper level low down the bottom right here. System goes through BC. That's what's going to cast the front down across the area. Then the ridge starts to build in here. But some of the previous models were showing this hanging out for a bit longer. Then you can see the Gulf of Alaska start to get active here at this 12Z. This is actually the first time I'm looking here at the 12Z, but not much difference. It shows some potential for some systems rolling into the Pacific Northwest, potentially stronger storm way off into Fantasyland, moving towards Haida Gwaii there. But yeah, this would bring some heavier precipitation back into the region. We'll be watching that closely over the next few days. This is 500 millibar temperatures here. I'm reminding you that we're looking at a three-dimensional atmosphere. There goes the system here, and then the ridge builds. Look at the warm air, a nice ridge building across the area. Probably going to get warm for some locations before that next storm track starts to get going over the Gulf of Alaska. And let's see, it shows a couple powerful storms out there as well, but purely fantasy at this point. We'll just continue to watch that, something to look at. We'll also do a fantasy windstorm hunt towards the end of the video here. Seattle, Tacoma, you can see the warm-up coming as we go through the end of the weekend towards next week, and then potential cool down after that, maybe returning to some systems coming through the area. This is the GFS, and again, something similar to what the European is showing. Potentially a nice weekend here coming up for next week and end of next week, and back up into the 70s for some areas. Now, this is Seattle Tacoma on the GFS. You can see the system moving through here. Again, the GFS not quite as wet with this initial frontal system. Then we get this nice break and ridging, and then the potential return for some systems here as we go on into the October 9th and 10th time frame. There, we'll continue to watch that day by day closely. Bellingham a little bit wetter here versus Seattle on the GFS, and then the return of the systems. You can clearly see the ridge in between that, though. This is Portland, something similar there as well. Hopefully you can pick up a tenth of an inch or two out of the system coming in as we go through the day tomorrow. And you can see that potential return to some wetter conditions in the extended. The European, this is last night's 06Z run. So you can see it is a little bit wetter here, and they can control and add 0.4 of an inch for SeaTac in a 24-hour period here. And yeah, hopefully we can get some rainfall out of that, because then we're going to dry out for a few days here before we await the return of some stormier conditions. Seattle Tacoma here on the European. This is looking a bit longer out. This is yesterday afternoon's run, and you can kind of see it uptrended maybe a little bit here, at least on the control run. But yeah, there goes that ridge right there and the potential return to some storms. This is Boise. This is that wraparound moisture from that upper level low across the Intermountain West. So check it out. Maybe 3/4 of an inch here in the 24-hour period. And take what we can get. Some of the higher terrain getting a little bit of snowfall out of this as well. This is the European. So I'm going to put this into motion. This is last night's run. You can see the precipitation from that upper level low kind of clipping southeast Oregon, Idaho there. But then this next frontal system starts to roll in here as we go on in. You can see it coming in through the day Monday. Precipitation starting. Then this convergence zone is going to hang out probably on in through Monday night, maybe even on through Tuesday morning, some residual shower activity. And then that kicks out here. Then we're going to dry out towards next weekend, potentially bringing a nice weekend to much of the Pacific Northwest. This is the GFS. Again, wraparound low out here. Here goes that frontal system, a little bit of rain shadowing initially for some of the Seattle Metro, and then that convergence zone signature here across some of the central Puget Sound off into the foothills and the Cascades. That frontal system slides off to the southeast there, and then we start to dry out. Now, if we go out a little bit further here, you'll probably see the nice dry weekend coming up here, and then let's see what the 12Z is bringing us as far as precip. You can see pretty juicy signal out there on some of these runs as far as what's coming as we go through the 9th, 10th, and 11th day time frame coming up on the GFS. The national, this is not the national bulletin models. This is the NAM 3KM actually. And you can see it shows SeaTac with about what, maybe 0.22 of an inch of rain there. If we look at Bellingham, you can see something similar there on the NAM 3KM. This is a high resolution model. This is with that frontal system rolling through the day Monday. And this is down towards Portland. You can see maybe 0.06 of an inch showing up on the latest NAM. At least it's something, right? And you'll definitely notice the clouds coming over the area if nothing else. Tillamook calling for 1 to 2/10 of an inch of rain here as we go through the day Monday. Spokane, maybe a little bit of measurable precip if we're lucky out of this first frontal system. This is looking at total snow 10-to-1 ratio on last night's European. Just kind of showing you the highlight of this is just showing the upper level low, bringing some snowfall in places like Yellowstone, some of the higher terrain of Idaho, western Montana. And then this next system here, it doesn't show up bringing any snow at all to the Cascades as it rolls through here. Now looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, this was issued yesterday, and this goes through October 10th. You can see much of the west above average as we're going to be dealing with some ridging during this time. 6 to 10 day precipitation here, and this will probably start changing over the next couple of days because this is right on the edge of when those storms may start to return. 8 to 14 day temperature outlook above average here across much of the west, and you can see maybe the return of that storm track into the Pacific Northwest here. This goes through October 8th through the 14th here. Fantasy windstorm hunt, checking out Quileute here on the northwest Washington coastline. You can see some pretty impressive gusts showing up here with the return of some of those storms. Purely fantasy right now. We're just kind of dreaming about some October windier, wetter systems rolling in here. And this is Astoria. You can see a few blustery conditions here. Nothing too crazy showing. Seattle, there are a few bigger gusts in some of these systems out here, and up over 40 miles per hour could cause nuisance power outages. But purely fantasy at this point, just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. But anyway, yeah, here comes the system tomorrow. You'll see those clouds increase as we go through the day-to-day, upper level low. We'll be kicking off to the east here as we go over the next couple of days also. And then we're going to build that ridge, and things are going to warm up. And then our eyes will be on that return of the Pacific storm track into the Pacific Northwest. But anyway, yeah, I said the same thing on my California videos. I noticed some people leave $5, $10, $20 in some of the comments sometimes. And if you do, leave your location, and I'll try to bring up the nearest readings there for you. I'll bring up your temperatures, maybe the rainfalls. Maybe I'll highlight some of the more obscure areas around the Pacific Northwest here if you want to do that. I see people just saying thanks and stuff, but let me know your location. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for everybody supporting the channel. All my members, I couldn't do this without you, and everybody just watching and viewing these videos makes this channel possible, and hopefully we can continue this on over the next few years. So anyway, leave some comments below, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.